I always love opportunities to share what we're doing from everyone, and we love the opportunity to also collaborate. So, um, like Scott said, we've learned a lot from the S3, right? 20 years, 20 plus years, right, that we've had the scanner in S1, S2, S3 form. And we had a lot of great things about the scanner that we loved, and that's why it persisted for so long. And in starting conversations naturally, organically with people without approaching them too abruptly about an opportunity or about products. The scanner is really a key to starting a conversation very easily in a way that you are actually starting a conversation about their wellness, right? About their well-being. What is your score? Is the only question you really need to ask people is, well, what is your PRYSM score? What is your scanner score? And that's why scanner has been so great, but it's always had, limitations, lack of support, things that have limited it. And we feel like PRYSM has the opportunity to unleash all the positives that we've seen. Um, for your customers, for your downline, for everyone that you're working with. And that's what we're really excited about. And we want to really make this a good um, tool to help people be aware, right? Our goal is to help people live better lives. Our goal is to help people discover the best selves, right? And we feel like awareness is that first step to getting there. And so as we bring PRISM out into the world, the first goal is to help people become aware of what they're doing, right? When they become aware of what their score is, the first question we always get from people is, what does that mean? What does that score mean? And how am I going to improve it? And so we need to be sure that we're educating people on what that score means, how to improve it, because that's naturally going to lead to the product discussion, right? Because we have the best products on the planet, especially when it comes to improving your wellness and your score. We are going to have the best solution for them. And we are a company and we are a business of providing solutions to people who need it in a world that is just, nutrition levels are going down, awareness is going down, fitness. I mean, we have so many problems that Prism is going to be the answer to a lot of people to help them become aware of where they're not, meeting those needs, and we have a solution to actually provide to them. So Scott said we do have the app that's going to be paired with the device. Um, I'm going to walk you through what will be released in September with the next home user trial that we're doing with the TEs. This is just the very first start, right? The goal is that we're going to build upon this and make this into an amazing experience. And we have lots of plans and we're getting lots of feedback and we're really going to be building. So I'm going to be showing you the exact app that's going to be landing in September, exactly how it works and flows. Just to set expectations, this is a very bare bones experience to begin with. It's going to have basic functionality to help people get the numeric score from the Prism. But the real great stuff is going to be coming later in the year. So can everyone see my screen right now, the PRYSM IO?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So when we jump into the app is just going to drop you onto this screen when you first open it. And what it's going to prompt you to do is select a device, right, to connect to. So before you do anything, you might want to select a device, or you might want to actually change your language. We will have language support for most of the globe. So you can go through and select that. So we will have that available in September. Once you select a device, it's going to search for your device. And to connect to a device, you simply have to turn it on and have it nearby your phone and make sure your Bluetooth is on. If those two conditions are true, then it will find your device. If you have multiple within range, which won't be relevant for September necessarily, but it will let you actually choose which device you want to connect to. So you just simply select the one that matches the serial number on the bottom of the device, which will then connect you up, and you'll be ready to start scanning. There's two options when you scan, scan yourself or scan a friend. The scan myself option is really built for yourself, right? If you're scanning yourself, we want to actually track that information and understand as you're trying out the device, if it's drifting or if there's something going on there. So this is really for us and our understanding, but you can scan yourself or you can scan another person. Um, did I
I
just lose
lost
my
your
share?
screen.
That was weird. Let me see if I can get it back.
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. So if most case, you're going to probably be scanning other people, right? You want to start to introduce this to other people. And up to this point with the trial devices we've had, you've just been able to see a color score on the device. But with the app now, as you scan someone, they simply need to put their finger on the device as soon as that starts flashing red on the device. It'll auto detect the finger and begin a 15-second scan. And this isn't animating because this is just a picture, but this will animate 15 seconds to complete your score. Once those 50 seconds are up, you now have a PRYSM score um, that will have a numeric value to it at this point. There's just very basic information about what's low and what's high. Um, but that is pretty much like the extent of the scanning experience. So like I said, very basic to begin with. You can scan a next person, or you can just exit out to the home screen if you'd like. We will be allowing you to view all the scans that you've done up to that point. Um, if you need to see them for history, but there's nothing really robust here like a record. That will come later when we start introducing more of the prospecting tools where you can see your actual records. This one will just be a straight list, score, date, and then you can go back to scanning again. So again, this is going to be really basic and simple first version of the beta app, not the full version. But I did want to show maybe a quick feature set glance at what to expect. Scott, can we move into that, or do you have any questions about the
Yeah,
beta app?
I guess one comment I'll make is you keep saying this is basic. Guys, this is everything the S3 scanner does today, it's right there. That's fully baked. I mean that, that it gives people a score immediately and it looks amazing. I mean, the design, everything, the ease of use. I can say from personal experience, like the ability to connect the to connect it and pair the device works, really seamlessly. It's very intuitive. So all of that, I mean, I'm just very impressed with it. Uh, Joe Scalia is on here saying the cost of the scan, there will be no scan credits. So, just you don't have to worry about that, that end of it at all. And then go from there. But yeah, Jesse, if you want to, then go from there, this is awesome.
Okay, I'm going to stop my share and start a new one then. Okay, and I can talk through some of these points a little bit. But this kind of gives you an idea of the difference between that beta app I just showed you and then the initial release app, which will come later at the end of the year. We went through the connect to your device, we scan, and then we have a history with the beta app. Initial release, you're still going to be able to connect, but there's a little bit more to it. Like you can actually calibrate the device now. There's going to be more settings that you can set up on the device. You can put it into different workflows so that, say, you want to collect information up front versus, hey, I just want to scan people, not collect information. But then if they have questions and say, hey, I want more information, you can actually assign the scan to them at that point. So we want to make some different workflows so that as you're scanning people through different events, you have different options to do that. So when you connect to your device, you're going to be able to set it up and really kind of get it into a mode that you want to scan in. Scanning obviously is still there, but part of the scan flow with the initial release is going to be a much more enriching experience. Like I said, when people come in and scan, the first thing they're going to do is say, what does that mean, right? What does that score mean? How do I improve that score? And we want to have information readily available right there at the scan of what their score means, what it typically compares to. So like, in your region, where do you fall, right? Are you in the 80th percentile? Are you in the 60th percentile? That kind of gives more context and helps people understand like, oh, that's what that means, right? Or that's how I compare, I guess, to my group. We also want to help them understand the four areas of what constitutes a score or what helps contribute to your score. Those four areas are fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and supplementation. Even if you do the first three really well, you're still going to need supplementation because there are gaps. People that eat fruits and vegetables today still miss out on a lot of things because the nutrition value is just not as high as it used to be. So that there's still always going to be a need to fill gaps with supplementation. And that's the key, right? We want people to understand that along with a healthy lifestyle, getting on the right products is the next step, right? And so we want to educate people really well after they get that scan. And so we're going to have a lot of enriching data information for them to see about their own score and where they fall. Next, we're going to have some information about how to recommend, right? So once they understand what their score means, what they need to do, we want to recommend product to them. There's a couple different pathways we're going to take on that. We are going to introduce some AI capabilities in order to recommend products, but also allow you guys as the leaders to have full control over that. So if you want to recommend certain products to your people, you have that control to do that. If you want to rely on AI capability to also help assist, then that's available as well. But then also after that recommendation is given, we want to be able to share that right away, right? We don't want them just to get a scan and that's it, right? That like Scott was saying, that's kind of a dead end, right? We want to then convert to a subscription. And why the subscription is so important, like one-time purchases are great, but once they understand that this is like a 60 to 90-day journey, sharing that offer and letting them subscribe to that to see if their score goes up is really key. Why is that key? Because at the end of 60, 90 days, if they do see their score go up, and we have a guarantee on our products that it will, um, how much longer do you think they're going to stay on that product compared to, if they don't know anything about their score, right? If they can see their score go up, they know if they stop that product, well, it's going to go back down. That's the thing they changed in their life, and that's what improved their score. So they're going to want to stay on it and stay well and continue with that product. And so that's going to help really promote the longevity as we promote this share offer and making sure that they understand the benefits. We also have some shop capabilities in there. Where we'll have some really PRYSM focused products in there to begin with, which we'll plan to expand over time. But the key is that PRYSM related products are really going to help people understand what's kind of revolving around their score, what can really help, like even products that aren't certified, right? Like weight management products, stress management products. These are things that aren't certified, but they still contribute to your score to some degree. Just because oxidative stress is related to so many different things, right? It's related to stress, it's related to sun exposure, it's related to weight management. We have the data to show that a lot of these factors are actually supporting or hurting us. And so there's a lot of different ways we can help people, not just within PRISM certified products or SCS products, which is the same thing. And so that's going to be another part of the app that's really key is discovering those products and shopping. History, again, we kind of showed you the list, but this will be a more robust tool where you're actually able to track and help and follow up with people that you've scanned. And that, again, this is the key is getting people from scan to learning to recommendation, and then finally on a subscription journey, 60, 90 days to see their score increase. And so that is kind of, but another thing too, like we're not just going to drop these features one time and then they're like, this is going to be something that's going to be additive, right? We're going to continue to build upon this and continue to improve upon it. And we're already getting great feedback from leaders and from the field on ways to improve this. And we're taking those notes and we're going to continue to build this out over time. So that's kind of the tentative plan, okay? Just to set up expectations and make sure that we know that we are on a great path, right? And this is where everyone's working on right now, and focusing on to make sure that it's going to be a good experience for you guys.
Yeah, Jesse, what's most encouraging to me personally is, in the past we've created all these different tools, whether it's a website or a different app or, you know, different brochures, different, whether it's paper or digital. We've got all these different tools to help close the sale, to help, bridge the gap. And you guys have put it all into one app to walk somebody from A to Z on this experience, all right there. And more importantly, that the average person, a brand new person, is going to be able to grab this and for the first time and be able to intuitively walk through it. There may be a couple nuances they learn over time or that we've got to teach, but you will be able to download the app, connect your Prism, and walk through, from the beginning without really much knowledge or any knowledge. And I'm so I'm so amazed at what you guys have been able to put together and how you've done that, to make that happen. So thank you. I mean, honestly, thank you for all your hard work and everything else. I know, Jason, you got your hand up. You've had your hand up for a while. I just didn't want to interrupt Jesse, but if you got a question, go ahead.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate it. Super excited about this new platform. We've been playing around with the Prism now for a few months, and a couple questions that have come up. Number one, we're so used to the 40,000s, the 50,000s. Did y'all just basically take a couple zeros off? And is that like if someone had 4,900 on the new app, is that basically a correlation to 49,000, or how is the number going to be?
Just
Yeah.
if it correlates still basically to the same range, right?
Okay,
Like you saw on the example he had there is 490. A score of
right.
490 is still a green score, that's pretty close to 49,000. So he just
Okay.
took the opportunity to make this and change the range of the numbers. Just change the number, but the range stayed the same and the color wheel stayed the same, but took the opportunity to simplify, and make it easier to understand. And so, yeah,
And
that it's a little bit newer because it's just different, but it's just easier to get
Yeah.
to that.
Can I
okay.
add to that, please, Scott? Like,
Yeah.
because you're right. The spirit of it is the same, right? We're keep the scale looks the same, right? It's very similar. One thing to keep in mind, two different technologies, right? We based everything on everything we learned from ramen, and we've been using ramen data to train, and we feel like that gives us an edge, seriously, as a company as we're building this, because not a lot of companies have all that data and all that experience with ramen to then correlate over to this new technology. And so that's just one thing to keep in mind. This is a new technology, so you will see some differences. And so what we encourage people as they educate with their customers to not go from an S3 to now let's go to Prism and compare your score, but rather start you on Prism and let's see you increase over time. That principle is still the same. But if you look at the two, like they do correlate pretty well. But just keep in mind that they're now two different experiences.
And the other question that's come up several times, because everybody from from kids on has smartphones, of course. So people have been asking, if a family has one device, can they then just pair it to each phone depending on each user, so one family can leverage one device? Or will that, because I know with the S3 right now, because we borrow a few S3s in our local area, we just repair it to the phone depending on who's using it. But is that going to be a possibility, or is that how that's going to work?
Yeah,
Or,
that is how it works. Yeah,
okay,
they'll just be able to repair it to different devices. It will be a lot easier because you won't have to worry about scan credits in doing that. And stuff like that as well. So the experience itself is much simpler, much easier to handle.
Yeah, and
right.
I will add to that we are looking into adding household profiles. So if you're a parent and you have three kids and you want to add them to your account so that you can just scan them straight from your phone, you can like that's something that's in the works as well.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's what we're really excited about, because for the newer user to take the learning curve off to where now the AI and the recommendations in the app takes over, and helps. Like the new person doesn't have to be that expert anymore. And for people, and I know for us, we've had an amazing, it's so experiential for people. So, man, the feedback we've been getting in the field is when they use it is unbelievable. So I just want to thank you guys for all your hard work and thanks for this call because it added a little bit of clarity as far as what the app's going to look like. Because we do get those questions since we can't do that right now. But man, it's been amazing. So thank you guys for everything. And man, this is going to be a game changer in so many ways. So I appreciate all y'all's hard work. Thank you.
Jesse, and yeah, I know Steve Hatchett's on on this call. There's probably a few others that they've been working around the clock. We kind of head down and full bore at this, and I cannot thank them enough either. As we put this together, the team behind the scenes, Jesse Barrett, Nathan Fisk, Scott Ferguson. I mean, I don't know. If I keep naming people, I'm gonna miss it. So many, but there are so many behind the scenes guys that have been working on this for years, and now is hopefully we give them a real good time to shine as well because it's pretty amazing. Some very very brilliant people that have put this together and made this happen. So. Jesse, thank you so much for jumping on, and making this, this effort, and showing us because now we get guys, now we actually are able to take what we've been talking about and now we've got to look at and say, okay, well, how do we make this work in our business? And how, you've got an idea of, okay, this is what's coming. We know it's going to be professional. I know it's going to look professional. I've got a better belief in the fact that it's delivering, right? That they're following exactly what they said they were going to do is what's happening. Now we've got to look at it and say, okay, how do we take full advantage of it in our business? How do we turn that into something that actually equates growth and movement? And now I think this is valid for every single market around the globe, but the timeline is going to be a little bit different, right? I'll start, I guess, this part of my conversation here with a caveat saying, if you're in Europe or you're in Asia or you're in Latin America, it's going to be a different timeline than if you were in the US or Canada. But the principles are the same. And and everything else is the same. It's just when you're going to be able to qualify for the prism in your country or in your market is varying. But the fact of the matter is, if you start to look at this, I remember when I first got started, and honestly, 4 days ago on August 11th, that's when I hit 23 years in the business. And I look at that and I look back and some of the things that really drove me at the beginning were I remember hearing the story of Katsumi Kaneko and him building Japan and pre-launching Japan before it opened. And every time that got moved back, other leaders looked at that and said, you know what, I just, you know what, guys, just call me when it opens. And Kaneko looked at it and said, well, that's just more time to pre-launch. Like that's just more time to get ready. And he just kept his head down. He kept working and he used that pre-launch date to create urgency within his group and within his team. And when that market in Japan finally all settled, when everything was done, he had 50% of the market in his organization. And that, I mean, that inspired me from the get-go. Like that story was absolutely amazing to hear. But I remember in September, so I joined August 11th of 2002, and in September of 2002, they had a meeting. It was at an international convention. I didn't know what an international convention was. I knew that there was going to be a meeting in Salt Lake on that Saturday, the third week of September, that they were going to have 1,000 leases, paper leases that you could sign for the first 1,000 scanners in the market. And I knew you had to be in that room, you had to be in that meeting to get a scanner. And so it created all this urgency, right? Like there was a finite point where you had to be there, you had to sign this lease so that you could actually make it. And my sponsor called me and he said, you know what? I don't want you to worry about sponsoring anybody in the month of September or anything else. I just want you to focus on getting people to that meeting and getting people moving, in that direction. And I remember going to that meeting. I remember working up to that meeting. I was, talking to everyone to try to get them in that room. And I had about 125 people or so, give or take, that told me that they would be there. That said, yeah, I'll be there. I want one of those devices. I had 74 people show up. I had 74 people come to that event and sign a lease. And guys, that was my market share. That's where I looked at it. I had 74 of the first 1,000 scanners that were going to come to the market. We weren't getting them that day. But, I remember that at that meeting they had six different versions of the first S1 scanner. Like some of them you stuck your hand inside of, some of them you had to put a glove on so that it put it in the right direction. Like there were six different versions that they were trying to test as to what it was going to look like and what it was going to feel like. They had no timeline as to when we were actually going to get one, but I knew I had 74 of the first 1,000. And that I looked at it, that was my market share number one, but number two, that was what launched my business. That was how I took off and started building with the scanner technology. And that really propelled my business forward. Now, why do I tell you that? What does that actually even mean to you? How can you apply that to your business? Some of you have been around longer than I have. Some of you have been around, maybe this week is your first week ever being on this call. And then you got everywhere in between. But how can you apply, Kaneko's story and what he did with the pre-launch or what I did 23 years ago with the scanner? In the United States, we know that we're going to have a brand rep preview. We know in November, everyone around the world, there's roughly 2,000 of these devices that are going to go out, and you can qualify. Here in the US, the date to end qualification is September 30th, and there's a leaderboard of 300 for the US and Canada. Your market has their own leaderboards, and it's different for each one. But you can propel yourself forward and get a device faster, and then also get devices on your teams if you have people on that leaderboard. So that's point number one. Get on that leaderboard and do what you need to do. So what do you need to do to get on those boards? Every one of those leaderboards that I'm aware of, it's growth. It's based upon new brand reps, new star affiliates, which means you have a new affiliate that has $500 worth of customers, new pin title advancements. Like that's how you get on that leaderboard. Then number two, each market is going to have a brand rep preview at a certain time. In the US and Canada, that's in December. In other markets, I know in Europe, I think that brand rep preview, I think they're going to have a Ruby and above preview in February. And I think a brand rep preview, don't quote me on this, but I think it's in March. But regardless of when it is, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that's the deadline, right? Like that's the finite point that now you have a point where it's urgent. And why is it urgent? Because they're going to release prisms in the US and Canada in December to anyone who's a brand rep can buy one. So right now the goal is between August 15th and December 1st in the US and Canada, how many brand reps can you get on your team? That's the only thing I'm worried about right now. Like that's it. Everything else will come because I'm operating from this point of knowledge that I know every time I've ever added a scanner to my business has grown. Every time I've added a scanner, I've been able to acquire more customers. I've been able to acquire more brand reps. My volume has grown, therefore my business has grown. Well, what happens in December? How many, let's just say they're going to release 5,000 of them in December in the US and Canada. How many brand reps do you have that acquire one? Do you know how to help those people build the business and move it forward? Do you know how to scan somebody? Have you been taking product between now and then to actually get your score up so that when you scan your first customer, they don't double your score and say, "Well, I don't need your product. I'm twice as good as you are." Like those are real things. Those are real life circumstances that will happen. And it's okay to start low. I started at 14,000. I started as an F. And now I scan at 92,000 or in the purple, or according to this, I've got a really high score on PRYSM. But the fact is, none of that matters. It matters is to see the growth, is see the movement, and then it matters that you create urgency within your team right now to break brand reps. And it's not just, okay, well, I'll just become a brand rep myself and therefore I'll get a PRYSM. If you want real market share, you got to look at it and say, well, how many brand reps do I have December 1st or March 1st or February 1st, whenever that will become available. And as they move that forward, it doesn't matter what the date is, it matters what you do leading up into that date. Does that make sense? Because right now is the time to strike. Like this pre-launch market, guys, in my opinion, it's the best time to build because you don't have to worry about anything but you get to be on the ground floor. You're going to help us, launch this technology, and people want to be part of something brand new. They want to be part of something different. They want a business that they know, number one, has been proven before to work, is backed by a solid company, and that we're just making it simpler and easier and cheaper. And that's what PRYSM does. It makes everything just work that much faster and that much easier and just that much more cost effectively. Everything that Jesse just showed you is better than what we currently have. And that's the beta version. Like I look at that and I'm just blown away. He's like, this is really basic. This is just really where we're starting out. Guys, it's exactly what we've had for the last 20 years. Then that's the starting point now. And so it just really encourages me and puts us in this the best perspective of now is the time to get your teams aligned. Now is the time to make sure that your teams are consuming our products and showing an increase in their score. It's okay if a customer outscans you as long as you've been able to show an increase, as long as you've been able to show progress. But if you haven't been taking the product and you get a PRYSM and you start scanning people, you're going to have a hard time closing them on a customer. It's just the where the rubber meets the road. And so you've got to look at that and say, okay, how high can I get my score? Can I take my health seriously? Can I get my products going so that I have my own story to talk about? Because there's not a lot of time left. This is not something you can change in a week. This is going to take 60 to 90 days to see real improvement in your score. And so from there, you can start moving that forward. And then it's how do I show my team and how do I follow the duplication models in our markets and actually make this happen so that I can have 10, 20, 50 new brand reps on my team so that I can roll that out and take, real responsibility and take this time serious to get everything that we've ever wanted, out of this opportunity. I know, guys, I truly believe that we have the ability to legitimize the supplement world. It's just a matter of how many devices we get out there. And so the question you got to be asking yourself every day is how many of them are on my team? How many of them am I going to be a part of, or how many of I am I able to get paid a small piece on every time they scan someone or put somebody on product or acquire a customer? Because each one of these devices will do that. Some at higher rates than others, granted, but every device will go out and do that. And so now is our opportunity, and I am fired up to be able to say, like, now is our chance to go out there and really make this happen. And Steve Hatchett and Jesse Barrett and their teams, they have made this possible. And I'm so grateful to be a part of this. I'm grateful for you guys jumping on here today. I hope this call was of value to you. Let's go out and kill it. Let's go crush it. Have a great week. Oh, and one last thing. Next week, Chris Savini, Nate Jackson, a few others, are going to jump on this call and they're going to talk kind of the how-to in social. And not to build your business through social, but how to use social to invite, to create contacts, to get people scanned, to move your business forward. So it's going to be a tremendous call, like how to be authentic and just some good ideas. So let's go out. Let's make it a great week, and we will see you back here next Friday. Thanks, guys. Thanks again, Jesse.